The sequel just fucking came out, so let's do the first one. So we are in the 70s and we learn that there's a serial killer nicknamed the Grabber who is terrorizing this one town. And we meet our two main characters, Finn and his sister Gwen. And they live with their alcoholic, abusive father. We also learn that Gwen has these psychic visions that their father fucking hates because their mother had it, and that's what ultimately led to her death. Now Finny is actually relentlessly bullied at school. But Finny has a friend named Robin who's just like a fucking black belt and beats these guys for bullying Finny. And then we learn that this boy named Bruce has been abducted by the Grabber. Gwen sees this whole thing happen in a vision that she has, and she understands that Bruce was kidnapped by a man in a black van with balloons. So she tells detectives about this, but in true horror movie fashion, they don't really understand what the hell she means. And now the fucking Grabber abducts Robin. The bullies, now knowing that there's no one to protect Finny, go after Finny on the street one day. But this bad bitch Gwen shows up and beats their asses. And only days later, Finny is kidnapped by the Grabber. When Finny wakes up, he's in this room with a mattress and a black phone, and the Grabber explains to him that the room is soundproofed and the phone has never worked. However, soon after, Finny hears the phone ring and he answers it. And turns out it is Bruce, the kid who was kidnapped at the beginning. And Bruce tells Finny about an area in the floor where he can dig a tunnel and try to escape. Meanwhile, the cops are looking for Finny based on information that Gwen has given them from her vision. We also see that periodically the Grabber brings Finny food and visits him in the basement. And one day the Grabber leaves the basement door unlocked. Finny is about to go upstairs and try and make a break for it when the phone rings again. And he tells Finny not to go upstairs because apparently this is a game the Grabber plays. And if Finny goes upstairs, he will be attacked by the Grabber. Billy tells Finny that he had found a cord and hidden it, and if Finny can find the cord, he can use it to get out through the window. But the grate on the window breaks and falls to the ground, so that attempt was fucking unsuccessful. Meanwhile, the cops go to this random house and they meet this guy named Max, who's just on fucking coke all the time and trying to play detective to figure out where the hell the Grabber lives. However, the cops leave and we figure out that Max is actually the Grabber's brother, and he has no idea that Finny is in the fucking basement of the house he is staying in. Now the black phone rings again. And turns out it's this kid named Griffin, and Griffin tells Finny that when the Grabber took him, he also took Griffin's bike lock and put that on the front door. And Griffin gives Finny the combination to escape. Now, in an insanely tense scene, Finny sneaks upstairs past the Grabber, who is asleep, and unlocks the door and makes a run for it. Unfortunately, the Grabber is alerted by his dog, so he wakes up, chases Finny, and recaptures him and brings him back. So that attempt was all for nothing. Once again, the phone rings, and it's this guy named Vance. And Vance tells Finny that if he can break through a certain point in the wall, he can get into the back of a freezer. And that way, Finny can get out through the front doors of the freezer and escape through the garage. However, when Finny tries this, he discovers that the freezer door is locked from the outside, so that attempt failed too. Meanwhile, Gwen has a vision of Vance's abduction. And through this vision, she is actually able to find out the Grabber's address. So naturally, she tells the detectives right away, and they go running for that address. Finny is absolutely fucking defeated at this point. He thinks there's nothing else left to do, and then the phone rings again. And turns out, it's fucking Robin. Oh my god, you guys, this scene is just like, it tugs at the heartstrings, oh my god. And in an incredible heartwarming moment, Robin gives Finny a pep talk, and he also gives him instructions on how to fight this motherfucker. He tells Finny to pack the phone receiver with dirt and basically use it as a weapon, kind of like a heavy hammer. And Robin walks Finny through the motions on how to attack. And he tells Finny, go back, forward, back, and swing. And he tells him that over and over again. Finny can't see Robin's ghost, but we, the audience, can. And while Finny is doing these fighting motions, we can see the ghost of Robin right next to him doing the motions alongside with him. That part is so fucking moving and so hard to watch. I'm gonna start fucking crying here, you guys. Oh my god, I can't. And now the Grabber decides that Finny's time is up and he has to die. Meanwhile, Max finally fucking discovers that Finny is being held captive in that basement. And he goes downstairs and Max is fucking murdered by his own brother. Axe to the head. Meanwhile, the cops rush to the address that Gwen told them. But the house is empty except for fucking graves in the basement of all the Grabber's previous victims. And that's when we learn that the Grabber has two houses. One house where he keeps his victims and the other house where he buries them after he kills them. Meanwhile, the Grabber is threatening Finny and starts to approach him. However, Finny has taken all these tips from all the ghosts of the children who have called him, and he has proceeded to Home Alone the shit out of that basement. The grabber starts chasing Finney around the basement, but ultimately falls into the tunnel that Finney had first dug to try and escape. And Finney now uses the phone cord to start strangling this motherfucker as he deserves. And at that moment, the broken phone in Finney's hand starts to ring again. In a moment that I fucking love, Finney literally tells the grabber, "It's for you," and puts the phone to his ear. And now the grabber hears all the voices of his previous victims taunting him through the phone. And Finney pulls the phone cord and fucking kills this monster. Outside across the street, we see Gwen crying on the steps of the other house because she thinks that her attempts were unsuccessful and her brother is gone forever. Until that is, Finney walks out of the door of the other house that he was being kept in. Gwen finally gets to see her brother again and the two of them reunite. Their father even shows up and apologizes for being such a fucking asshole and promises that he'll be better to them. Finney goes back to school, and as they should be, the bullies are now scared of Finney. Because of course Finney is that kid who took out a serial killer / predator. What movie should I do next?